Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. Let me ask you the question. Are you taking advantage of Chime? Okay. And what I mean by taking advantage of Chime, when you have bad credit, you're in check systems, you're in early warning systems, and nobody else wants to give you an opportunity to rebuild. Okay. And why I'm saying that is because once you take advantage of Chime, this is going to be the next stepping stone to being able to get access to more unsecured funding. Okay, because with this here card, you don't need a good credit score in order to get this, just a 580 credit score to get this card, right? However, leveraging the Chime Credit Builder is going to be your best benefit. And I'm going to actually show you some of the best loans to actually help fund your Chime account, to help that do not report on the credit file. However, you can use that money to fund your Chime account so that it can start building up the credit. Okay. Now, understanding why I'm talking about the Chime card. Okay. Like I said, when you have bad credit, and you're in check systems, and you're in early warning systems, there's not too many people that want to touch you, right? And so with Chime, the credit builder, you're not getting charged any fees. That's one of the biggest things I think a lot of people hate. Even if they get a security card and stuff like that, even if you go over to Navy Federal and you join Navy Federal, you know that if you get the card, even if you get the card and stuff, they may charge you annual fees and stuff like that, right? And so with the Chime Credit Builder, they don't charge you that. As a matter of fact, they don't charge you no annual fees. They don't charge you no maintenance fees. They don't charge you no international fees. So that means that if you're going out of the country and stuff like that and you need to use your Chime account or whatever, they don't charge you any international fee. They don't charge you any late fees. Now, why that's important is because let's just say you use more than what's in your Chime bank account or whatever. All right. They're not going to report that to the credit bureaus. Okay. They'll turn the card off. Okay. Until you bring it up to date. The reason I know this is because my oldest son, who doesn't want to follow my financial advice, he figured he'd do everything his way. I'm like, okay, focus on learning how to manage the money so that way you don't screw up your credit and stuff. All right. And so just going back and forth with my oldest son, if you all have kids, you understand, it's just one of those things. Now, my two younger kids, hey, they're like, okay, whatever you say, daddy. But that oldest one, my goodness, that being said, again, and I'm not mad at him because actually, he's learning. There's for you all that don't know the story of my oldest son and stuff, and how he ran away when he's 12. Then he ran away again when he was 16, and he was gone for like 3 years. Okay. And now, I try to keep close ties with him to keep his spirits up and stuff like that. So it's just a long story. It's emotional for me because I still think about it, and I feel like I kind of failed him because I wasn't there in his household. I had got remarried. So it's one of those things. So like I said, it's an emotional thing for me. But at the same time, going back to this Chime, like I said, because there's no interest, no overdrafts and stuff like that, it really puts you at the winning, put you in a position for winning. Okay. Now, here's the thing about it. I tell you, when you have bad credit, for every negative account, you need at least 2 positive trade lines. Okay. Now, you can do the Credit Karma hack. And so with the Credit Karma hack, I tell you to go and dispute all of the negative items, because this is going to influence your Vantage 3, your Vantage 4, and your FICO 9 scores to boost up those scores, okay? Another thing in terms of, especially when you're trying to rebuild your credit and stuff, is adding those authorized users. And I tell you that adding on different authorized users, all of them are not the same. That's the reason why we said schedule one-on-one, because we do offer authorized users, and certain authorized users we don't certain authorized user we would not advise you to get. Okay, so that's one of the things. Another thing is that rent payments, utility payments, especially when you're rebuilding credit. When you're trying to go from a secured card like the Chime card to unsecured card, like I said, you don't need much to get a card like this. As a matter of fact, with this here Capital One Savior card, I always tell you to get the Saver card instead of the Platinum card, because the Saver card will give you a higher limit. As a matter of fact, the reason why I tell you to get this card, so you can double dip. And what I mean by that is that you're being able to go over to Capital One and apply for their business credit card as well. Because the Spark Classic credit card, which is the gold card, and being able to get access to that card, especially if you doing like a little side hustle and stuff like that, and you only have a 580 credit score, that would be the best card. All right. Going back to funding that Chime account. Okay. So with funding that Chime account, now with some of these lenders and stuff like that do not do a hard pull on your credit, do not report these loans to your credit file and stuff like that, they may charge a higher interest, especially when they are a tribal lender. And so like with Explore Credit, they'll give you up to $2,000, okay, which you have bad credit, but you have to have verifying income. And so if you all seen the video I put out about the Chime loan, so they are one of the ones that would actually work with you if you have a Chime bank account, because all loans won't accept Chime. Okay, because I get a lot of people say, which ones will accept Chime? Well, Explore Credit will accept Chime, okay, for us getting their loans. You also can look at like big buck loans. Now with big buck loans, they go up to $5,000. Now the difference between them and Explore Credit, and they do not do a hard pull on the credit. They use third-party credit bureaus as well. However, big buck loan goes up to $5,000, and the interest rate starts at 5.99. Okay, and for these here type of loans, then you also have Viva payday loans as well. For these type of loans, you can be low income. Okay, so they're not going to push you away because you may be on disability benefits, okay, or you may be unemployed. Long as you're able to provide proof, and you even with your checking account with Chime, that you have regular deposits. So that's the thing about it, making sure you have regular deposits. Now, adding on to that, if you're trying to get more unsecured cards, okay, and you have real bad credit and stuff, you may want to try like Avant card, because it goes from $300 up to $2,000 as well. Okay. Now there is a card through One Main, okay? And so with that One Main card, which is the Bright card, okay? Now, the only thing about that card, it is unsecured, but you have to be invited in order to get access to that card. But the reason why I'm telling you these specific cards is because you know how you get a card like through, what they call it, Progressive? Or you may get it through the Total card or something like that, where they actually have these activation fees, right? And so being able to find credit cards that are unsecured with no activation fees, the best part about it is that, like I said, with Chime as a credit builder, again, because it's mainly looking at your checking account, and we pretty much swipe anyway. A lot of people in their minds are thinking, well, I gotta have cash and stuff, and that's not true. Every time you go to the store, 90% of the time now, you're more likely going to pull out a debit card or a credit card, right? So why not take advantage of that? Now there are two other cards that you may want to look at to add to your profile as well that would help you, okay? And that's with the Credit AI, CRED.AI. Okay, that's the card with the unicorn that'll give you a $1,500 limit, right? And then the extra debit card also, all right? And so the more positive you add on to the credit profile and challenging those negative items on the credit, you'll see your credit score go up. Then when you're trying to get like the higher limits, like 5,000, 10,000 and stuff like that, then the variables change. And the reason they change is because now they're looking at when you go to the credit unions, and I always tell you to start with a credit union because the credit unions are more flexible and stuff. But one of the things about it is making sure not only do you have a good file, okay, because Navy Federal, there are a couple other credit unions out there that work with you, 580, 600 credit score and give you funding and stuff like that. But when you're trying to get unsecured credit cards and stuff like that, 5, 10,000 and stuff like that, then there's certain type of credit cards you should be going for anyway. All right. And I do make videos on that as well. I would definitely tell you, if you have bad credit, if you're in check systems, if you're in early one systems, this Chime card is probably going to be your best leverage, okay? Other than the secured card, especially if you're trying to avoid fees, I would say that. Other than that, it's starting with a secured card with the credit unions, all right? So I hope this helps you. If you have any question about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.